Forget the Mavic 4 Pro, Mini 5 Pro. This is the drone I think you should be looking at in 2025. It's the Mavic Air 3S. And I've been flying this drone since I crashed my Mavic 3 Pro about 2 months ago, and it makes a great backup. And while flying it, I discovered that I really like it for photographers specifically. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about this drone, why I think it's great for photographers, hopefully help you make a smart buying decision when it comes to your next drone. My name is Mark Bergerine, and on this channel, I provide helpful insight when it comes to buying photography equipment that hopefully will help you save money by engaging with my 15 years of experience as a professional photographer. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and head down to the links in the description. I'll link everything that I talk about in this video. It's a great way to support the channel. Appreciate you doing that. So to give you a little context, I'm gonna talk about real-world functionality of this drone, the image quality, handling, and just ease of use, because this drone is a little bit smaller than the drone I've been flying, and I thought it would be insightful for you to understand where the Mavic Air 3S fits in the DJI drone landscape. And I'm talking about DJI because they dominate the drone market, at least for now, until the US decides to ban them, and we'll see what happens. So let's talk about build quality and packability. So this drone fits, like I said, between the Mini 5 Pro and the Mavic Pro series, the 4 and 3. It's a little bit smaller than the 3 Pro, bigger than the Mini 5 Pro. I think it strikes a good balance. Portability, packability, and like a travel-friendly size that you can take on a road trip, you can take in a hiking bag, you can take with you wherever you go, but still giving you some of those pro level features. So just the drone and the controller, these two together, that is all you will need, but it also comes in this bag where it comes with the extra batteries, ND filters, which I'll talk about later, extra propellers in case you hit something. And I feel like DJI has finally refined the package to where this is a bag that I actually want to use. So that's awesome. I think this is a good balance of portability and packability, but it still feels refined enough to where you can utilize it to capture some really high quality images. So with that, let's talk about handling and flight performance. So with the new DJI RC2, you still get that built-in screen, but you also get these antennas that give you the confidence that the connection between the drone and the controller is rock solid. I really appreciate that you can now only fly with just these two things. You don't need a phone, you don't need anything else, you don't need an internet connection. It really gives you basics in a compact package, but still giving you that performance. I found this drone to be super stable. It's great, hovers, flies well, even in windy conditions, and allows you to get really sharp images. It feels refined and like a high-end drone while still maintaining that smaller form factor. It also has omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, so that you now have all directions covered when it comes to dodging things in flight. So you can fly a little bit more confidently knowing that it's gonna warn you before you hit something. Now, that doesn't work in low light, so that's the scenario where you need to be extra careful, and that's why I crashed my Mavic 3. But luckily, it's being repaired, not too costly of an expense, and it'll be back up and running. But let's talk about this combination specifically. I appreciate that it has a rock solid connection. It also has the Cine, normal, and sport modes, so you have all three of those options for flying. Cine giving you that kind of stable, cinematic looking video footage. Normal mode's great for photography, doesn't move too quick, it's real solid. And then if you want to go into sport mode, if you're trying to get somewhere quickly or fight a strong wind, that's great to have as well. Now I want to talk about the camera system, because that's where photographers are going to get the most value out of this drone. It has two lenses up front. It's got the 70mm up top, the tele lens, and the 24mm on the bottom. Now those are equivalent focal lengths in full frame terms. The 24, it's an f1.8 lens, f2.8 on the top, but given that those are a 1" and a 1/1.3" sensor, that is an equivalent f-stop of roughly f4, and we'll talk about more about that when we talk about low light performance. But I found that the 24mm is really nice, wide focal length for capturing landscapes, and then the 70mm gives you an interesting alternative perspective. It's kind of like flying a 24-70 lens, and you can shoot at those two focal lengths. It feels closer to choosing lenses to use rather than just a wide flying camera. I really liked having the capability of both of those. In terms of resolution and photo quality, you're getting close to 50 megapixels, 48 on the top, 50 on the bottom. That's a really, high number, but it's using that quad bear sensor technology to up-res and I found that the files were really high quality. They looked sharp, they looked crisp, they looked good color, depth, and lots of dynamic range, which is great to have in a drone in such a small package, because in the past, it feels like drone images just don't quite land as well as you might get out of a full frame camera, but it's starting to catch up, and I appreciated that you have all that resolution for cropping and utilizing in different ways for prints or however you see fit. 20 by 30 prints at 300 DPI gives you roughly 50 megapixels, so that gives you an idea of how large you can print those files. Now, low light performance is a drawback on this drone. I found that as soon as I raised the ISO much above that lower, I don't know, 100, 200 range, the noise starts to ramp up. So maybe I'm just being particular, but I found that shooting at those lower ISO values was essential to getting clean images. Now, there's some great AI software that you can use to denoise those higher ISO values. If you don't want to take the time to do that, you want to shoot at the lower ISO values to get the cleanest images. If you're just shooting photos, you can drop your shutter speed way down because the drone is so stable. It allows you to get sharp images down to like a quarter second or maybe a little bit more if you push it. So it's plenty of range to give you capability to shoot in bright sunny conditions and those twilight, sunrise, sunset timeframes, and maybe even a little bit past sunset. But if you're trying to shoot night images, this might not be the right drone for you. Another feature that was touted with this drone is the front-facing LiDAR, and I think that's great, but I also found that I'm not usually crashing into things when I'm flying forward. So having that LiDAR for low light obstacle avoidance, it's cool, but it doesn't really help me because usually when I crash, I'm flying side to side or backwards, and that's when the LiDAR is not going to be helping you out, because when you're flying forwards, you're looking at the camera, what it sees. Maybe if it helps you if you're shooting that top-down shot, but generally not that useful, I thought. Now, I wanted to cover a few accessories that I've used with this drone. Specifically, Freewell sent me some kit that I think is pretty cool. So they sent me the combination filter set. The ones that I was using mostly were the combo ND polarizer filters, and they come in 4 different strengths. I found this is really helpful to have because that f1.8 aperture in sunny conditions, you will need an ND filter to balance that light if you don't want to shoot at really high shutter speeds. Now, if you're just shooting photos, maybe it's not that big a deal, but if you are going to shoot some video, having the ND is critical. If you are just shooting photos, you'll want to still have that polarizing effect, because often when you're flying a drone, you're near water or you get reflection off foliage, and that polarizer will help cut that reflection. I also appreciated that Freewell split the ND because they saw that the camera is f1.8 on the bottom and f2.8 on top. So there's 2 different ND values to give you an equivalent exposure on both cameras. In addition to this filter set, they also sent me this little card storage, card reader combo. It holds SD cards in here, micro SDs, and it also has a card reader. Now, this is an awesome little piece of kit because then you always have the capability to transfer your files from your card to your computer, and it fits in this tidy little case, so you always have extra capacity with you, and this fits nicely in your bag. So thanks to Freewell for sending me that. Other accessory that I recommend getting is this sun hood. I'll link all this stuff in the description, but this thing allows you to leave the control sticks threaded and not have to worry about when you shove it in your bag, these protect that. It also gives you the ability to block the sun from hitting this screen, which it's relatively bright, but having this shade is really helpful. Allows you to fly more confidently and see your composition a little bit better in those bright conditions. Now, I'll touch briefly on video features, 4K 120, I should say, in both cameras, but I only use the 4K 60 mode because mostly I'm not shooting super slow-mo action with a drone. Works really well for hybrid shooters where you're shooting some video and some photos, but mostly I focused on photos when I was using this drone. Lastly, I wanted to touch on flight time. Claimed flight time is around 45 minutes, but realistically I found it to be like 30, 35 minutes, and leaving some margin in the battery so you're not flying it all the way to 0 and it's falling out of the sky. But that still gives you plenty of time to explore an area, find some different compositions, create some interesting photo and video if you're shooting both of those, or do multiple flights if you're just shooting photos. Lastly, let's talk about value and who this drone is for. So this is kind of a mid-tier to premium drone, I would say. You know, the Fly More combo used is going for $1,500-ish, which I think is a really great price point for somebody who wants high quality, definitely not a toy drone. It's gonna give you some excellent performance. For landscape photographers, adventurers, travelers, anybody who wants to get into drone photography, I think the Air 3S is a great value proposition. It gives you that 50 megapixel resolution and tons of performance in a relatively affordable package. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about this drone, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. I think this drone is going to be a strong contender for a backup drone for me to support the Mavic 3 Pro that I have. When it goes down, I'm going to be reaching for this thing. It's an awesome option. If you haven't already, go check out the links in the description for the Freewell filters and the SD card case, and I will see you in the next video.